Pick It and Flick It podcast, Halloween Extravaganza, season part 3, whatever we're going to call it.
This is like the 9th or 10th episode at this point.
But
we still don't know what we're calling it?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. What did we watch?
We watched Idle Hands.
Oh, wait. We did this last time.
What?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Natasha.
Hey, I'm Box.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Oh, thanks. Good to see you. Good to meet you. We're missing, do we mention this at all? I mean, he's only been on one episode so far.
We mentioned it a few times, yeah.
Well, Luke's too big of a party pooper to chug through all of these movies with us.
He doesn't have time for us.
He's very tied up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking it upon ourselves to make sure that we get all 31 movies for October out of here all at once as you swallow your energy drink.
No, that was my mouth making that noise. I wasn't swallowing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But this was my pick.
Oh, yes, because we've been alternating picks.
Yes. So I chose 1999's Idle Hands.
So you questioned why I chose Frankenstein's Army, and I feel like I had a pretty good story behind the reasoning on picking that movie. What the hell? Where did this movie come from? First of all, I've never even heard of this movie.
I hadn't either, but I am part of like a bunch of Facebook groups that are like fall and Halloween vibes or like horror movie like.
Oh God! So it's a bunch
stuff.
of white women in there.
Yeah, it's one, or I'm just a part of a bunch of like random groups that talk about Halloween or scary movies and stuff. And
Okay.
this, I always was seeing like stills of this movie, and there was the scene where he has like the bottle in his head, and I was like, hey, that's Seth Green. Like I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And then they didn't say what movie it was, so someone commented and they were like, oh, it's Idle Hands. And I was like, interesting. I've never even heard of this movie.
Yeah, me either.
So I added it onto my watch list, and then we were going through the breakdown of, what movies we were going to watch, and I was like, let's put it on there. So I have a reason to watch it because, I mean, I know we would have watched it eventually, but usually when it's...
I feel, when it's on the Halloween Extravaganza list, we force ourselves to watch the movies that we pick, obviously, because that's why they're on the list. And
then I had asked Luke about it. I was like, Luke, have you ever heard of Idle Hands? And he was like, I don't remember what his response was, but I think he had said something about...
I'm sure it was something sarcastic.
How he liked the movie or how it was worth the watch or something.
I don't know.
I don't remember,
But boy, oh boy, was 1999 a strong relevance in this movie because this was 90s to the T.
Yeah, 90s, early 2000s, like hardcore.
The intro itself was like, okay, this is a 90s flick.
The names flashing in and out and like the music.
Which was kind of like in the new metal, it's kind of in the grunge area still, but pushing into the new metal scene, which was highlighted a lot through this whole entire movie because you had like Rob Zombie, the Offspring show up and like play at the school dance and stuff. So it was very, hey, this is a 90s movie, but we're saying hello to the new things. Yeah, I got that whole like, I hate using the word vibe because I feel like everyone uses that now, but I got that impression from the entire movie.
Well, and Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil was like the theme song to this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, but that's like 80s, I think.
Motley Crue I feel like is like...
It's very grunge.
90, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a young thing.
Yeah.
It was like the Van Halen replacement for the 90s kids, which is fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, that's fine. We heard that song like 5 times.
Well, so first of all, I want to preface RIP to Fred Willard.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning of this movie and in real life.
Yes.
I think he passed away in 2020.
Yeah, it was only a couple years or so ago.
But he was a big face for The Bachelor too, so I've followed him for a while.
He was in The Bachelor?
He was on The Bachelor. He was always whenever they did like sports announcements.
Oh, you know what?
Kind
I do
of
remember
things.
that.
He was always there with Chris Harrison.
Oh, that's right. Another big rip.
I know.
Even though he's not dead, they just removed him from the show. That's funny.
Anyway, The Bachelor sucks now that Chris Harrison's gone. That's all I want to say. Back to the movie. It started off very fast, and honestly, this was a nice breath of fresh air compared to the last 2 movies that we watched.
Shit, even the last 3 or 4 movies we've watched, really, because I mean, The Nun was fine because
The Nun was quick.
Yeah, because it was, same thing, kind of like an hour and a half movie pushing through, but like, Jesus.
This was just like the kind of horror movie I want to see, like, how Scream does it, Halloween does it. They all start off with a kill.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and then after the kill happens, the movie starts. And I enjoy that because it doesn't just like start and nothing's happening for, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then someone finally dies.
Suspiria, or whatever the fuck the movie's called.
That was like 2 hours until something happened.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But what were your thoughts? I don't. Do we need to talk? Like, should we explain what this movie's about?
Yeah, probably. Because I mean, I've never heard of the movie.
Yeah. So I honestly, I had just seen like clips of it. I had no idea what it was about, but it's about this kid who is pretty much a lowlife, just stoner. Yeah. Not that being a stoner makes you a lowlife, but he literally does nothing.
Not in 2022.
Yes.
But maybe in the 90s.
90s, yeah. But he just sits around all day, smokes weed, sits on the couch. His parents are talking about how he's pretty much a piece of shit before they die.
Yeah, that's like the first thing.
And he essentially gets possessed by his hand gets possessed by the devil, I'm assuming, is what the
they don't really like specifically say that it's the devil, but it's something from hell.
Yeah, but I think it was cool that like was it the actor, because you said the hand was played by.
So initially, before the hand gets cut off, which happens about halfway through the movie, they decide, okay, the only way to get rid of the hand that's doing evil things, which is killing people, is to cut it off. It's him, and I can't remember his name, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. Let me pull that real quick.
All of these guys, everyone in this movie is very early 2000s.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Devin whatever. He's a Final Destination. He's in Casper. He's in a bunch of he's got a very recognizable face. He's in a bunch of 90s stuff though. Anyways, it's him. It's got to be him, running around, acting like his hands are all crazy, which he does a great job of, by the way.
Of making it seem like it wasn't a part of him.
Yeah, he did a good job. And then later on, after he cuts it off, it's the same hand model or puppeteer that does the hand from the Addams Family in the 90s movie. There's 2 of them, Addams Family and the Addams Family Reunion, or whatever the next one's called. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And he's simply credited, it's Christopher Hart, he's simply credited as hand. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Addams Family Values is the second one. So the first one was in 91, the second one is in 93. And he's only credited in one other movie, which is called Quicksilver Highway from 97. And that has Christopher Lloyd in it, but I don't know if he plays another hand or not. Oh, you know what? He does. He plays Lefty, which has to be another hand. Oh, so he's just a hand model or a puppeteer or whatever, which is great. So I think that was really well done. There's not a whole lot in this movie that is green screened,
right?
Which is really good.
That's one of my notes. The practical effects are great.
Yeah, and they do a good job by making sure that we are understanding that they understand it's a practical effect.
Right.
Because one of the guys gets his head cut off, and he's walking around holding on to his head. But anytime that we see his head stationary, it's against a backdrop. So you can tell that his head is sticking through something, but they do a really good job at covering up when it's on the chair.
Well, yeah, he'll walk around. And he'll set it on the table, and it's quack. Yeah. When he puts it on the table.
Yeah, and then you can tell that obviously his head is up coming through the table, but it's very well done. You're not just oh, okay, it's green screened, CGI'd his face onto something.
Right, and that's what I kind of, I don't want to say miss, because I was 4 years old when this movie came out. So
no, but that is something that's nostalgic to us.
Yeah, because there's so much CGI now, which is incredible
when it's done right.
To see how they've how CGI has come so far, but it's also nice to see practical effects and see they did this without CGI, without computers,
right? And
with just their imagination and some fake blood and scissors or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
They used to cut a hole in something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Saw.
No, I think it was really well done. I mean, even Seth Green's character, who has the beer bottle stabbed into his head, throughout the entire movie, it looks very the skin is just suctioning onto this beer bottle, and it's not like, and they recognize that because even there's a scene where they're crawling through the vents and his beer bottle gets stuck into part of the vent, and they're like, okay, they're recognizing the fact that he has another appendage sticking out of his body now because it's permanently indented into him. So I really like that. The overall portions of this movie that I liked was that, like, the things that they are actually recognizing in the continuity of the story. The acting's not that good. It's pretty corny and chopped up, but what can we ask
It's
for?
a horror comedy movie.
Yeah, it's from the 90s, which is like very Stickler. You know, there's a lot of things that are just kind of slapstick, and you know, they're kind of throwing things at the wall to see what fits because the story makes no sense.
No, not at all.
They don't explain. Well, I guess they try to, but that's where it gets muddy. Like at that point, like don't even explain it because there's a chick that we see briefly.
Vivica A. Fox.
Yeah. That's right.
She's like in it like every half hour.
Yeah, her character just like shows up. There was one point we were watching, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this chick.
Yeah,
she just pops up.
It was so random, and she like said all these words like Druid Time.
Oh, yeah.
And she was just like throwing out random shit like what did she say? Priestess or something like that.
I don't know. She like pretended to be a nun at one point.
Yeah, went to a jail.
Yeah,
that was very choppy for sure.
And that's what I was kind of saying is like I wish they wouldn't have done that because they tried to explain something that really didn't need to be explained for me.
Right. I think everyone would have been fine. Yeah. Even if she showed up at the end.
Yeah.
And was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for you. And then, you know, because she didn't need to be in the whole movie, which maybe she wanted to be in the whole movie or maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. But like the Druid Time thing, like, okay, I guess it was supposed to be kind of funny. Like she's just this witchy Wiccan kind of chick, you know. But it slowed it down.
Yeah.
You know, because we're like Druid. What the fuck are you talking about? You know, it just slowed the story down. So that was kind of one thing that I didn't really like because it's lackluster. And honestly, the decisions that the script has these characters make in the grand scheme of things really distracts from the rest of the movie going on. Like there's no common sense that's happening. Jessica Alba is in this movie and her character, how could we forget? Yeah. And her character is making out with a character that literally just cut his hand off and has blood covered all over him, and it's kind of like,
right,
you would do that? Like,
well, I mean, not but to try to make sense of any of this movie is just gonna get you into a hole because where are the parents throughout this entire thing?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, besides Anton's parents who are dead, but why are they not like they're not going to school? They're not doing any. They're just smoking weed all day, every day.
Yeah.
And this kid's walking around his neighborhood with boxers on. It's just there's so much that just doesn't make sense about this.
Yeah,
movie.
you're right, and I think that's fine. But the fact of the matter is that, and this is the point I was trying to make, is she kept pointing out that he had blood on her.
Right.
She's like, oh, you're covered in blood. Like that, you got one big hell of a fight, you know? Like, stop pointing it out if you're not going to have them, like, I acknowledge. They're acknowledging it, but they're not acknowledging it. Like, she's like, you're covered in blood, but I'm still going to make out with you. Like, just don't acknowledge it if that's what you're going to, I don't know. It got distracting for me. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
Because it was just like, whatever. But the logic, since it's not there, is fine. You know? If you're not going to put logic into the movie, then don't put logic into the movie. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there's not logic if she's making out with someone covered in blood. She's saying he is.
Yeah, but she was trying to make logic out of that. And it happens a couple other times in the movie that I just didn't even write down. But the whole time I was thinking like, okay, you're pointing these things out, but then they're not doing anything about it. So it's just kind of, I don't know if it was trying to be funny or if it was just a bad script.
Trying to have them make out.
Whoa.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Trying to have them make out and have it be, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either way, but that's that. It's an hour and a half 90s film.
Yeah.
About a guy's hand who gets possessed. Like,
yeah.
There's the grand scheme of it. And
it takes place during Halloween, which was cool. So you got to see all the Halloween decorations and everything.
Yeah, there's a Halloween party and stuff. And I wanted to point out, I was going to point it out during the movie, but it was moving rather quickly. In the Halloween dance scene, there's some masks that I used to work at a haunted house / haunted hayride for 11 years. And there was masks in there that we have.
Oh my gosh.
There.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, there was masks. I was like, oh, there's one of the vampire masks that we use. Like, oh, there's a zombie mask, and they're from the 90s. I mean, those masks that are still in circulation at this haunted attraction during the fall time is.
That's awesome.
I mean, right now since it's October.
Right.
I saw a lot of familiar masks in there, which is funny to me.
Yeah, because you're like, hey, I know that one.
Yeah.
I recognize that one.
What do you think of the kills in this movie?
I think they were great.
I do too.
Every kill was different.
Like very creative.
Yeah.
Not super off the wall. The one where obviously they start to realize that the hand that's attached to their friend is the killer. And Seth Green?
Seth Green,
yeah. His character is like trying to block his way from his buddy, and he opens the door and he's like, do you want a beer? And the beer bottle becomes a weapon. Mm-hmm. And then his other buddy goes running into the basement to try to get away from him, and there's like some tools down there, and he ends up throwing a saw like a frisbee and cutting his head off. That was really cool.
I thought the how he found his parents was cool too, because they were in like they had pumpkin head. So his parents are like super into Halloween, and they always go and like decorate and stuff. So they had I think it was like the farmer with the axe.
Yeah, I think it was.
But
I
they
don't
had
remember what
pumpkin
that
heads.
painting's called.
Yeah,
but
American
the farmer and his wife.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the killer, he put them inside the pumpkin, so when he knocked him over, he saw that his parents were dead, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a cool way to hide the bodies. The girl who gets hung.
That was brutal.
They're escaping through the vents, and they climb down through a big Willy Wonka-esque fan, and then the fan turns on, and she gets hung by the rope that she's being hung, like climbing down with. So that was cool.
Well, my thought was once he cut off his hand, I'm like, how much can you actually do with just a hand? And I mean, they
did
me wrong.
Yeah, they did.
This is what you can do.
Yeah, so. that was pretty interesting. I think those were pretty creative kills. I mean, those stood up to me against like the new Halloween Kills movie.
Yeah,
the kills were very unique and weren't just the same slasher kills,
right? Which is it's nice to see something different,
yeah, for
sure.
Of
someone just like running into a knife or getting stabbed through a door, something
very interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us how we rate movies around here.
So we choose between picketing.
Wow,
picking or flicking it. Picking meaning that we would recommend it for you guys to watch, and flicking means that we watch it so you guys don't have to. And then we also rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. So did you pick it or flick it?
So actually I initially flicked it, but as we started to talk about it, I was like, you know what? There was a lot of creative things in this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the best movie I've ever seen, but there was a lot going on. It was funny. Like
you laughed.
Yeah, I didn't hate watching it. So initially I flicked it, and then after reconsidering, I'm going to pick it. Because I feel like this would be something that you can get together on Halloween and, hang out with your friends, have a couple of beers, and watch a dumb movie.
Yeah.
Like, it would definitely be worth doing that. Or putting it on at a Halloween party or whatever.
Right, I agree. I picked it as well. But I think that it's fun to watch. And if someone were like, what did you think? I'd be like, go watch it.
Yeah. Find out for yourself.
Yeah, because I liked it. Would you give it out of 10?
I'm not going to change my score. I might have changed it from a flick to a pick, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. I gave it a 6.
Yeah? Okay, so right in the ballpark. It wasn't astounding, but it wasn't like the worst thing we've watched.
No, definitely not one of the worst things we've watched.
Yes. If you've been listening for a little while, you know what our lowest score, well, my lowest score is right now. I don't even know what yours is. But
that's a good question.
We're almost halfway through the month. We're getting there. We're approaching it rather quickly. So
I think The Nun is my lowest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think it's worth the watch if you haven't watched it yet. It's for me, it seems like a lot of horror fans have already seen this movie.
I think it's
I'm
a cult
surprised
classic.
we haven't seen it.
Yeah. This doesn't surprise me if it is a cult classic.
Right.
Because it's very much so like one of those, stoner comedies.
Yeah.
Like the best way I can explain it is that. So if you are interested to see what else is on our list, be sure to subscribe. Tell us what you think. Comment. Give us a like. That helps our videos out, supposedly. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll go from there, though. We have, since, like I said, we're almost halfway through the month here. We have a couple more movies to go.
Yeah.
And
Just remember, idle hands are the devil's playground.
oh yes, oh yeah. I wanted to say real quick. What'd you think of the title? Idle hands.
I mean, it made sense.
Yeah.
If it's like one hand, because the devil chose like the laziest person to
Yeah.
pick because his hands are idle and he's never.
Yeah, I guess.
Moving around. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Whatever.
Whatever. Thanks for watching.
Bye.